What is a wave? Why is it called a wave?
Just looking at the sea, you see the waves coming and coming all over again and again. Things change all the time. There's new requirements, new demands from invented, developed, implemented. I think that's a good choice of words saying, okay, the waves keeps coming because new development is being implemented. And then we have a wave. We actually have 2 waves a year where they implement new functionality. And it kind of shows that Microsoft is really taking this seriously because they know a lot of companies that really rely on their platform of all the products that's in there. So they need to be on top of what is going on out there. So you see there's a lot going on.
Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking about something very important. Microsoft Wave updates or releases and 2023 edition. So first wave of 2023. The first question I have, Kim, is what is a wave? Why is it called a wave?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why wave? Yeah. But you can say, just looking at the sea, you see the waves coming and coming all over again and again. And in between the waves, it goes down into the holes and then a new wave comes up. It's the same idea. And you know, the sea never stops. The waves keep coming. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same idea with Business Central and the waves, because Business Central is an AP solution. And you know, things change all the time. There's new requirements, new demands from governments, for customers and so on. So new things have to be kind of invented, developed, implemented, and getting out there. So I think that's a good choice of words saying, okay, the waves keeps coming because new development is being implemented and Business Central is coming up with a new solution for something. And then we have a wave. We actually have 2 waves a year where they implement new functionality. And the version number of Business Central changes from one version to another version. So that represents a wave.
So we have 2 waves a year. So wave 1 and wave 2. And when it comes specifically to Business Central, we have also release changes.
All of that is kind of part of the wave. So when you look at the homepage from Microsoft, there's actually a page where you can go and look up what is in the next wave. And so you prepared for what is actually coming. So you're not overwhelmed by the wave and you drown, but you can actually see what's going to happen out there.
That's a great example. I love that. Like, that's a fantastic example because it can be overwhelming. And I'll be honest, like the first time I saw a wave release, like I was like, wow, I don't even know where to start. So just like you mentioned, why don't we take the website here? I'm pulling it up. I just went and Googled here, Dynamics 365 2023 release wave 1. This is where we land. I don't know if you just look at the amount of content, at least for me, this was quite intimidating at first. I didn't quite know where to start.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot in there. And it kind of shows that Microsoft is really taking this seriously because they know a lot of companies that really rely on their platform of all the products that's in there. So they need to be on top of what is going on out there. So you see there's a lot going on.
So just as a first question, since we are a little focused on Business Central, when I first landed here, it took me a moment to figure out, like, in case you also are looking for that, Business Central is actually located under the SMB umbrella here, which is small, medium business, I believe. So you can find here an overall description, but also a direct link here. So in this specific example, like then boom, if you expand, you get all of the nice information, including, like we were saying, all of the planning that is coming for this wave. And here we have specifically all the list of features and when they're going to be available, which I thought was very useful because you can just go in here and search and look for what you want. So for example, we recently released a video about Copilot, and here you go. This functionalities has been released on April 3rd and it affects everybody. And here you go. Here's a link specifically that goes to that feature where you can go and dive deep into what the information is on that. If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned to me that there is another way to explore this releases and the wave that is coming. Is that correct?
Yeah, I assume you talk about the feature management. that's in the systems, so you can actually check it out. So some of the features, they kind of introduce waves ahead, you could say. So some new functionality will be part of a future release, but they're actually going to include it in a previous release, so you have a chance to check it out before it actually really introduced and implemented in your Business Central. So that means you have a chance to, like for example, in your sandbox, to play around with that new functionality. So what does it actually mean for my business when they're going to implement? Just take one example, sales prices was introduced, a new way to do that. So you can actually check it out and see, okay, how is that going to work for me? Does it mean I have to change anything or anything like that? So that really makes, it's a good thing for you, so you can prepare, not be overwhelmed by the wave, as I mentioned before.
we like that. We don't want to be overwhelmed for sure. So let me see if we can get our sandbox, and maybe we can just show this really quickly, because I think this is something important for everybody to know, because at the beginning it can be difficult and overwhelming. So it's nice to have the option. Okay, so here we are in Business Central. Kim, can you guide us a little bit and find that feature, feature management that you were talking about?
It was actually a new functionality that was introduced some years back. And when you look at Business Central, there's so many options in there. But if you go to the little search, a magnifying glass, and then search for feature management, and just anything with feature will pop up, and you see.
There we go.
There you go.
Let's see if we can expand a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can see it a little bit better.
So this is actually part of what will be released or for future versions. You can see a lot of this has to do with 2023, 2024. So you could say we are way ahead, but that is what I mean by Microsoft giving you a chance to actually check it out before it's implemented. And you can see for each of the lines, there's a learn more highlighted in green and turquoise. And you can actually click on that, and you can see more information. You actually direct to a Microsoft page where you can read some more about it, because a one-liner kind of, maybe you know what it means, but maybe you don't. So you have a chance to actually read about it directly on the Microsoft page. So also when you look at the feature management, you see there's a column called enabled for, and none means that, okay, it's not implemented, you're not really using it. So, but you can change that. If you click on one of them, you see you actually have an option for it. So if you click on the drill down to the right, you can see you can actually implement that for all users.
So that would be all user. Perfect.
And as you can see, it will prompt you, all depending on the feature, it might have to update some data. And it's just kind of saying, okay, this is a kind of a warning, saying, okay, if you're going to do that, it means there might be some implications on that. But still, you're doing this in a sandbox. And the whole idea about sandbox is for you to play around with it, learn about it. So it doesn't really matter if you destroy anything and like that. You can create a new sandbox if you need to.
Let's try the modern action bar like you were suggesting. I think that's a fun one. Boom. Okay.
That was easy. Now you just have to sign out and sign in again for it to pick up that new setup or new functionality. And now you have a chance to play with it.
That's pretty nice. So another thing that I wanted to show our viewers that I've discovered recently, which I thought was also interesting, because like you said, it's sometimes when a new wave comes out, even if it's slow, it can get overwhelming, especially if there's a lot of features. And the reality of it, at least for me, being new, is sometimes I don't necessarily need to know about everything that is happening in Business Central or in general in Dynamics 365. Maybe I'm more interested in some feature that I went through and I say, oh, these are the ones that I really want to follow. Mm-hmm. So I've discovered that there's this website called experience.dynamics.com, where it's possible to go on, look at the roadmap. Here we are. And look more specifically at, like we could before, but also see when they release and follow and make a release a personalized release planner, you can say. So this I think it's a great way also to see where the different functionalities are, if they have been released yet. So a little bit the same that we were looking at before, but it's a little bit more interactive. And having that option also just to click and expand, like it was something that I thought was important, and at least like it would help. So you can share. There's different ways of experiencing this, but I thought like it would give you a different view, and depending on what you're looking for, it might help you navigate that.
I think that's a great idea to use a page like that, because the internet there's so much great stuff out there, and other stuff that's not great, but still that's really nice to be focused. So if you want to learn about Business Central, see what is actually going to happen, the roadmap, that's a great place to go. One question
sure.
I did notice when you showed that page, I think there was an option. So, as a client, as a
Let's
user,
go back.
Using Business Central, sometimes you use some functionality and you say, I wish there was something that could do this or that, or there was a specific report, or if I clicked on a button, it would do this or that. And it's not in the system. Of course, you can contact your partner, your solution provider, and so on. But how do you get that information to Microsoft? To ideas? So is it just above the roadmap?
Here we go.
Yeah.
How can we improve Dynamics to suggest a new idea?
You see, Microsoft is actually listening. So if you sit there using your Business Central and say, okay, I wish this was in here, I really need it, then you can suggest a new idea. And when you do that, you can see all ideas coming from all kinds of users. You can see that in here, and you can actually vote for that idea. And the more votes it gets, obviously, the more Microsoft will pay attention to it and say, okay, we probably need to do something about this and then implement that. So this is a great way to communicate with Microsoft and say, I need this. Can you do it for me?
See, that's another thing that I didn't know. And I can see here, looking at the Business Central section here, there's quite a few, and they're very nicely organized into different areas. Obviously, we might be more focusing on the development, but for end users, let's see, for example, sales. I'm sure that's an area that is of interest. Here we go. So this is also nice that it is showing if this suggestion is planned, and there you go. It was planned in 2021 release wave 1. So here you go. This is a great example. It's just you can see or under review. Yeah. There you go. It means it's not planned yet. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it can be declined, of course, but because maybe the requirement you have, the wish you have, might be so specific to your business. So Microsoft will kind of reply back and say, no, you probably need to contact your provider, and they can make that modification for you. And again, that's where we come in play again and say, okay, we can help you with that and make that specific modification for your Business Central.
Well, but I think this is a good middle ground for things that are useful for everybody, right? So if it's a functionality that everybody could use, then it makes sense that Microsoft would probably review it and decide this we're going to implement. But as you mentioned, if it's something that is very specific to your business, that doesn't mean that it can't be done. That's why we have all this great community of partners where you can reach out to, and more than likely, it's something that can be implemented specifically for your business. And that's also another great feature of Business Central, that it has this incredible customization ability that makes it so good for any and many different types of businesses.
You're absolutely right. And maybe at this point in time, it's important to mention that even though that you get someone to create that modification for you, we call it extensions, and you install that extension, that's not going to ruin any future updates coming from Microsoft, because it's kind of built on top of the Microsoft stack, the Business Central. So you're not going to jeopardize anything going forward. It's just kind of built on top, just like Lego blocks. You put it on top and you get more and more functionality. And that's why we can make extensions and modifications for it like that.
And that's great. Uh, I think that in a sense, like the product really is thought in a way that allows a standard version to work, and if that version out of the box is enough for you, maybe you have some suggestion, like sure they can be given here directly on the website. You can see the new features coming. But also think about, like, from a business perspective, it's awesome to be able to navigate this, because if you know that a feature is already planned and it's coming, like say in the next 6 months, in the next wave, there's no point in going out and requesting a customization to do that. Like maybe if it's time sensitive, you might want to still do that, but still, like, this gives you visibility. And obviously, us as partners, we always try and be ahead and look at all those functionalities so that we can help you decide what's best for your business. And you don't have to worry about, like, oh, what's coming? Do I need to pay to get this done? Or, oh, no, look, it's going to come out of the box. Or, no, sorry, this is not something that they're planning on doing. Like, we can help you out and make a customization specifically for you. We'll be following up with another video soon with some of the top features coming in this wave. And like we said, like, it's a wave, so it has started, but it's not going to end up until the next wave starts, just like at the sea. So there's time, and we're going to try and pick some of the most important one that we think might be interesting, and maybe deep dive in those and give you some of the insights. But in the meantime, obviously, if you have any requests or something you would like us to review first, make sure you write it in the comments down below. We'll be happy to get to that as soon as possible. Thank you again for watching, and make sure maybe you check out one of those other videos where we dive on some of those questions. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Looking forward to see you again soon.
Likewise.